Welcome to Rebirth Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Raylene Torres, and today we're diving into a powerful truth. Our childhood beliefs and experiences don't just stay in the past, they're actually shaping the way we love and how we show up today. In this episode, we're going to unpack what core wounds are, what they really mean, how it shows up every day in your life, and most importantly, what you can do to start reprogramming those old beliefs so they no longer control your story. So, if you've ever felt stuck in the same patterns or wondered why certain struggles keep repeating, this episode is for you. All right, so let's start off with what are core wounds and what does that really mean? So core wounds are initially our experiences that we've encountered in our childhood, or anything that was really traumatic in our life. But typically, our core wounds are coming from the first 8 years of life. So within the first 8 years of life, your brain is developing and you're pretty much in like a subconscious state for the first 8 years. So anything that you were exposed to within that time is pretty much trapped and stuck in your subconscious. Why I talk so much about the subconscious mind here is because the subconscious mind pretty much rules every decision that you make. The subconscious mind carries 95 to 97% of data. Your conscious awareness only carries 3 to 5%. So meaning that the subconscious is overruling your consciousness 1000%. So that being said, what you experience in the first 8 years is so crucial to your wiring, your systems, your beliefs, right? Now, if you grew up with a lot of us grew up with, I believe it's 76% of people grew up with trauma in their childhood before the age of 18. That's a really big amount of people. So if you grew up in a home that had maybe chaos, or if you grew up with abandonment wounds, if you grew up with inconsistency, or if you grew up being hyper independent at a really young age, um, that is ultimately what's ruling you today in your adult life. The things that you were exposed to at such a young age, anything before 8 years old, is pretty much controlling you in your wiring today and is in the decisions that you make, in your triggers with um, your relationship to yourself, the way you might vision yourself or you might see yourself, um, any type of negative beliefs that you might have of yourself, a lot of the times come from things that we were exposed to, right? So it can show up in work, in your work life. It can show up in your partners. Most of the time, mostly it really does show up in your relationships. But it also can show up like in our money. It can show up in our careers. It can show up in the way we learn, the way we think and process things. And it can even show up in our physical abilities. And most importantly, like what can you do to start reprogramming this so that those things, those old limiting beliefs don't hold you back? Okay. So I'm going to be talking about autosuggestion. So the best way to reprogram your core wounds is going to be through autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is a practice that you do within the first hour that you wake up and the last hour that you go to sleep. So within the first hour that you wake up, your brain is creating these theta waves, and your brain is really subject to change within the first hour. Um, that being said, you really want to tackle the subconscious mind during this state. Now, the best way to get to your subconscious mind is not through language. So your subconscious mind does not understand regular language. It understands emotion, visualization, and most importantly, it understands repetition. So what you do repeatedly is how your subconscious mind starts to activate and realize, oh, this is a habit. Like, this wasn't something that we just did today or the other day. Like, I'm noticing every single day we're doing this. My brain, your brain, that's how powerful and subject to change your brain really is. It's exposed to what you do. So once again, the belief systems that you have, if you were shown them and exposed to them repeatedly in your childhood, that is exactly why your brain is wired to think the way it does today, is because you were exposed to it for years and years and years on end. The lovely thing is your brain is so powerful and so subject to change that it doesn't have to take 8 years to change your core wounds or your core beliefs. It actually, you can change it in 21 days, 3 weeks. But repetition is extremely important. So same thing goes for the last hour before you go to bed. Your brain, once again, is creating those theta waves, meaning your brain is subject to change. Okay. So you want to get really clear on what are the core wounds that are hindering you. If you don't know your attachment style, this would be a really good time, or even after the podcast, to go and do your attachment style and get really clear. That can really help identify on some main core wounds. But if you are pretty aware of like the goals that you have, and you know that you're not able to get to them because you have a limiting belief, maybe you think that you're not good enough. Maybe you think that you're not worthy of this. Maybe you think that, you have lack of amounts of money to do it. Whatever that may be, once again, I want you to realize that these are old wiring and old belief systems from what you were exposed to in your childhood, right? So if you are an anxious attachment style, typically anxious attachment styles have the main core wound of I will be abandoned or I am unsafe. Those are the main core wounds that they have. So if you are an anxious attachment style and you have a major goal that you want to do, but you're scared that people might not support you, or people may abandon you, or you're scared that people may not show up for you, right? Or if you have that big core wound of I'm unsafe, sometimes exposing yourself to certain goals may require yourself to get out of your comfort zone, which your brain is telling you you're going to be unsafe. And the thing is, it's going to hinder you from meeting your goals because your brain is constantly saying, this is not normal, this is not what we usually do, red flag, red flag, red flag, this is unsafe for you, right? But then it's like, fast forward years from now, how do you really feel because you never did the thing that you wanted to do? Like, do you feel happy that you were in the comfort zone and like you were safe? Or like, are you kind of like disappointed and do you have regret and like you wish maybe you could have did it, right? So using those two core wounds is really effective to do the autosuggestion on those. Now, for dismissive avoidance typically have a really big core wound around I am defective, something is wrong with me, and I am unsafe. So once again, dismissive avoidance, if you have a big goal that you have and you want to meet, but you have a big core wound around something is wrong with me, I am defective, more than likely you're never going to get to your goal because you're always thinking that there is something wrong with you. When the reality is all of that information is completely outdated. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. There are so many areas in your life where people love you, people appreciate you, and people truly, are there to support you. And it's your wiring that makes you believe that, and it's completely outdated. Same thing with the I am unsafe core one. If you have a big I am unsafe, just like the anxious attachment style, which each insecure attachment style will have this main core wound of I am unsafe. So if you have a big I am unsafe core wound and you have these major goals, and once again, your body is saying, your mind is telling you, we can't do this because it'll lead to it'll lead to uncomfortable feelings, it'll lead to us potentially being unsafe, so let's not do these things. Once again, what does your life look like 5-10 years down the road when you never got to your goals, you never did the things you wanted to do because you had this big core wound of I am unsafe? And the reality is, for all attachment styles, your core wound will forever be there until you make the change. So you just know, like, when you don't make the change, it'll manifest into your reality because your brain will constantly believe those belief systems. And you have to challenge your brain and challenge your mind and say, you know what? I control my reality. I control my reality today, and I control my future. And the way I do that is by reprogramming those things and doing the work, right? Now, fearful avoidant. Fearful avoidant typically have, they're half anxious and half dismissive. So they tend to have a lot more of the core wounds, but one of the bigger core wounds of the fearful avoidant is I will be betrayed and I am unsafe. So once again, if you have a big core wound of I will be betrayed and you have these major goals of, I'll even use myself as an example. I am a fearful avoidant, trying to lean trying to lean secure. But I had a big fear of rejection. I had a big fear that I would post and maybe someone wouldn't like what I said and maybe they'd comment something and I'd be just so scared of like what people would say about me. And that stemmed a lot from my betrayal core wound, people switching up on me or like my parent figures switching up on me consistently in my upbringing, which has led me to not really trusting the audience, right? But the thing is like that's not my reality now and now today and age. Like that's not the truth, and that's not what is the reality. That's not the reality of things. And I have to do the reprogramming, the autosuggestion to reprogram that core wound, because the thing is if I allow myself to think those ways and allow my brain to believe those things, I won't be able to make a podcast like this. I wouldn't be able to share this with you. I wouldn't be able to share this with others. And it would hurt me. It would hurt me in the long run. So same thing with the I am unsafe. It goes like the same exact way. Getting out of that comfort zone and reprogramming it will typically, or will more than likely, just like take over and just help so much on feeling secure, feeling safe, knowing you're safe, and creating that safe space for yourself. So how does the auto suggestion work? So now that you get your core wounds and you know what your core beliefs are, what you're going to do is within the first hour that you wake up, so you can do this like tonight or today, and plan for tomorrow morning. And I want you to write 6 to 10 real life memories of where in your life the opposite of your core wound was true. So fear of avoidance, betrayal. I want you to write me 6 or 10 memories that had real, real impacts on you. So really made you feel emotionally charged in a really good way, where people were loyal to you, where work was loyal to you, where God was loyal to you. You can use the 7 areas of life, everyone. It's mental slash learning, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, career, and relationships. So use those areas of life for a guide. Now, what you're going to do is once again 6 to 10 real life memories. Now it can be from any ages, from any memory. It can be from the ages in high school and school time, last week, today, anything that had a real like a real strong emotion attached to it. And emotion is so important for the autosuggestion. It's the only way it's going to be effective. Okay. Anxious attachment styles, abandonment, real moments in your life where you truly felt secure. Someone showed that they were secure within you, or they felt like they showed you that they were a safe space. They showed you that you were safe. Dismissive avoidance, real experiences where you were accepted for who you were. Okay, I want you to get really specific on the memories, and I want you to incorporate the emotion. So after you have written down the auto suggestion, right, you're going to record yourself. So I want you to record yourself, and I want you to record these memories. Okay, what you're going to do after this recording is you are going to listen to this recording for 3 weeks, in the morning and right before you go to bed. And what you're doing is reminding your brain of, you know what? I am so worthy of this because I have real examples, real experiences that I can share with you, brain. And I need you to remember that I am safe. I need you to remember and know that people are loyal to me and I am worthy of being loyal to. I am worthy of being secure. I am worthy of being accepted for who I am. So that is the ultimate key for autosuggestion. Now you do this for 3 weeks, and what happens after 3 weeks is your brain starts to build this habit and this belief system. And we fast forward, let's say a month from now. So now we have a situation where fearful avoidant, we'll use fearful avoidant as an example, is something comes up where they may feel betrayed. And it might have felt like it could be something little like a comment. We'll just say it was a comment that someone judged the video. Now you have this belief system of people are loyal to me and I see that loyalty through XYZ. Your brain is going to automatically do it for you. So that comment is not going to hit the same like it would have 3 weeks prior, a month prior, when you had that old wiring and that old belief system. And truly the importance of autosuggestion, this stuff goes way back. Like this is science. This stuff goes way back. This is pretty much what like Bob Proctor preaches. This is what Napoleon Hill preaches. Um, Thais Gibson preaches this. She was my teacher at the personal development school. Um, and the reason why they preach this is because everything that we think of, every decision that we make is just controlled through the brain. And it's controlled through the subconscious. And subconscious work is like hitting stuff at the root level, like at the root level. Um, just remember, like your childhood beliefs, they may shape your experiences, but they don't have to control your future. You always have the power to reprogram and create the life that you desire. If you love today's episode, make sure to follow this podcast and share it with a friend who's ready to shift their vibration. And if you want to dive deeper into reprogramming your core wounds, check the notes below for resources. Thank you so much for being here. Your transformation is already in motion. Let's go.